Hey guys, hope you're having a good day. Um, Today I wanted to talk about um, two parts which I have recently consciously discovered and which I think deserve a separate video. One part is the part of a betrayed person, or you can call it a betrayed child, a betrayed teenager, a betrayed adult also. And separately a part that can be called um, an avenger, or the revengeful one, or an unforgiving one. Something that, basically um, acts more from a position of vengeance, revenge, towards the feeling of being wronged. And I think it's very important to acknowledge those parts consciously and integrate them into our understanding of life. Because in case if we don't do this, I think the consequences can be quite quite severe and quite bad. With the part of the betrayed child, betrayed teenager, betrayed person, when this part is in our shadow and when we don't consciously relate to it, it starts acting out unconsciously. And this can show up in a number of ways which can be very uncomfortable. For example, you might be, you know, become quite paranoid and suspecting of the things that happen in the world. When they are neutral, you might interpret them as negative. When they are potentially negative, you interpret them as dramatically negative. You might become particularly suspicious of, you know, people around you, whether those are just acquaintances, friends, or partners, or your family. Um, and when this thing happens, it becomes more difficult for you to feel trusting, to feel connected, to feel that it's possible to establish a bridge of connection with other people where you can maintain, your sovereignty, and where you can trust people enough to interact with them. Finally, when the betrayed part is unconscious, another effect it might have on our life is we might purposefully and proactively decide to exit and leave certain situations and relationships because we fear and expect that there is a higher probability of us being wronged or betrayed in some way. And this obviously creates a situation where we might be prone to leave relationships too early or judge them too quickly. The core of such issue likely lies in the past and in the experience of the past events, where there were a lot of events that led us to feeling betrayed, our expectations perhaps not met, perhaps the feeling of safety being unmet also, and perhaps this experience of being betrayed at some early age or in some early situations has accumulated to a large into like a big energetic psychological complex, which because we're not able to consciously relive it, it operates unconsciously and directs some of our actions to bring our attention to this complex so that we are able to actually integrate it consciously and move forward more confidently, where we still are able to, where we are able to maintain a balance, where we realize that we can be betrayed and that it would suck being betrayed, but where we also realize that it's not the full reality of the life, and that there are plenty of situations in life where it's possible, normal, and safe to trust and rely on other people. And that's part number one. I hope that's been helpful. If you have any thoughts, let me know in the comments. And then the second part is the the vengeful one, the avenger, the revengeful one, the unforgiving one. This part almost acts as the next step in the sequence. If the betrayed part is step number 1, then the revengeful part is step number 2. Similarly, if we don't relate to this part of us consciously, if we don't relate to the part of us that is willing to go tit for tat with some people when we when we feel uncomfortable about something, or if we decide to always choose like a forgiving path, but not because we genuinely forgive, but because we don't feel comfortable defending ourselves, then the part of the defender might become so repressed in us, the part that defends our boundaries, that this part can become very toxic. And I'm not trying to say toxic to attack this part. I'm just saying that this part is becoming very charged. So from a neutral defender who should, defend us enough, but also allow us enough space to live our lives and feel comfortable, this part becomes almost like a vengeful warrior who has failed, and now he needs to, or she, this warrior part in us, the vengeful part, the avenger, needs to act out a certain act of vengeance towards situations or people or events that, in the opinion of the betrayed child, have wronged that part. So the revengeful part, I think, is quite important too, because when we discussed when the betrayed part is unconscious, we feel mistrusting of the world, feel mistrusting of our relationships. We often leave the relationships very early, and we seek for signs of potential betrayal in the environment around us. The avenger takes this a step forward, and it now says that, this part of us is looking for opportunities to act out a vengeance, act out anger, to act out punishment or persecution. Punisher, by the way, is a very good word to use to describe this part. The avenger, the vengeful, the punisher. We might be searching for situations that are neutral, and the betrayed part in us might imagine them as negative, and the punisher part can really have a go at it, trying to, punish the situation or the relationship for creating this kind of trouble. And you can clearly see how this can become very dangerous if this part is not related to consciously. Separately, the punisher and the avenger might really be looking purposefully and consciously, proactively searching for situations which can be interpreted as situations where we have been wronged or where we can feel, like victims. So the punisher would have a role to play, and they would be able to act out their vengeance, their anger, their attack onto someone or onto something, sometimes even onto our own selves, which is a more complicated thing, and I will not probably go into this right now, but it's also possible. So I wanted to share those quick observations on two parts, because I think people who have experienced situations of unsafe environments, neglect, betrayal, danger for prolonged periods of time, and where the feelings of betrayal and inability to defend themselves have accumulated to such a degree where they become charged, energetic, psychological parts and complexes, can really affect the daily decisions, daily experiences, relationships, and matters of trust quite significantly. So I just wanted to share those thoughts with you. If you have any comments or experiences, I'd be glad to know about them, of course. That's really it. Hope you found it helpful. Let me know if so, and thank you for your time. See you next time.